We are on. We are on, Brian.
Wonderful. Happy Wednesday, everybody. It's Brian Terrian here from the Disability Digest, and welcome to our live event this week. We are going to discuss how age and your geographic location impact your Social Security disability benefits. So we're going to kind of take it all the way from the beginning for those that are young, 30, 40s, all the way up to what you can expect when you reach full retirement age. And we're going to look at both sides. So that's what we have on tap for today. And with me today is Mr. Philip Price, advocate here at the Disability Digest, formerly a carpenter for 25 something years or so, right, Philip? Got approved on your own. Blessed to have you here, helping members, taking questions, answering questions. Good to have you.
Hello,
from
everybody.
from downtown Austin, Texas. And then Jam was back with us. Jam has been advocating for our members here for over a year, formerly worked for United Healthcare, background in nutrition, dietetics, and just has a wonderful professional mannerism about her. If you have the pleasure to get on the phone with her, you'll get to enjoy it. So thanks for being with us today, Jam.
Thanks, Brian. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. And hi, Phil.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. So the format for today, I see there's questions already being put in the chat, so you're welcome to continue to do so. We're going to go through our primary agenda, address some questions that you have. So we have about an hour and 10 minutes if we need it all. I had an extra cup of coffee this morning, so I am ready to go. Right? The first thing is, I know we're going to have a frequently asked question at the end, but there's a few things I just want to cover that were notable comments from the week. And one is, and this is from our YouTube channel from Liminal Mystic. I lost my disability insurance because I did not know I was required to have ongoing treatment. Oops. The doctors only ever prescribed pills, which made everything worse. So I learned to manage, not cure, with more natural methods. So this applies to everybody, whether you're going through the approval process or approved. These reviews are coming like really rapidly. About 20% of disability recipients are receiving them. So for situations like this, it's your responsibility to stay in treatment. And this could have been avoided if the member that I just read this statement about had communicated to the doctor that the medications were causing side effects and that didn't chose not to have those, and this was in the notes. And so that would apply for other things like pain management. Sometimes people are sent there and it doesn't benefit them. So that's another one. We had a housing tip. The wait is long, but there are vouchers called 811 vouchers through HUD that can help you speed the process up. Jam, I'm going to swipe this link for you and Philip. You can put it in in your respective channels of chat. So this has helped people get housing quicker. All right. Okay. So let's move on to the main event after I took care of those housekeeping type issues. Kind of feel like, anybody remember the Johnny Carson show, or actually still the late night show now where they open with a monologue and you read off a few things? Although mine weren't funny, it was just kind of newsworthy stuff. Maybe not. Anyway, the common questions that were asked about age and locations are more commonly about age, like I have XYZ conditions, I'm this age, do you think I can get approved? Or another one is, what happens to my disability benefits when I reach age 65? Or I'm age 63 and I'm on disability and I want to get my Social Security retirement age 62 amount. Just different questions like that. So those are some of the things that we're going to cover here today to help you understand, prepare, take some of the uncertainty out of the process. Also, there is where you live actually has an influence on your ability to get benefits, and certainly once you're approved, the benefits that you could potentially receive. So we're going to cover that as well, right? Um, so first, let's talk about the approval process. And if you're approved listening to this, this age kind of nuance will could impact you in the event of a continuing disability review. So with the Social Security disability approval process, what you are required to approve to receive your benefits is that you have conditions and they're diagnosed, they're being treated, and the limitations that you have prevent you from working. So the last piece, prevent you from working, has an age component to it. If you're under 50, then what one needs to prove is that you're not able to do any job, like a job maybe that you would never even want to do, like working on an assembly line, taking things off the belt, putting them in a box and sending them on their way, or a greeter at a box store, or somebody who takes, sits in a parking lot attendant, the job like that. So any job in the U.S. economy, they even have jobs like nut sorters on the list for Social Security. It's totally outdated list. So when you think about that, that's a higher degree of difficulty. So the percentage of people that are approved under 50 is significantly less, and I've covered this in other videos, than those that are over 50. And it continues, like if you're under 40, it would be even more difficult. So the other side of this with age is that if you're over 50 and you've had a career that has been more than 15 years in one industry, doesn't have to be the same job. It just can be in the same industry. So you could have been like yesterday, I had a conversation with an individual that had been driving truck over the road, which means that you drive not just locally, but you go like he was in South Carolina, would drive, all the way across the US. That's over the road. And he'd done that for 31 years. So he met that 15-year criteria. And he did it for other companies, and he ended up owning his own rigs at the end. So for this individual, the premise of his disability approval would be that he cannot drive over the road, like he has conditions that prevent him from keeping his CDL. So if you don't have your CDL, then you're not compliant. And there's certain medications that the DOT doesn't allow you to drive, and those are medications that he's then prescribed. So it's those types of things that he's knocked out. And the reason for that is Social Security looks at it and says, okay, if you've done this for that long, then those are the skills that it's not easy for you to transfer over to another profession. So if you're approved, let's say you're approved for disability in your 40s, and then you get a review in your 50s, then you could be subject to that same nuance of age and skill transferability. So that's where age comes into play for it. I think the other thing with age too, if you look at like we had somebody that was 36 that we helped get approved recently, and his check amount was like close to $2,000 a month. So if you look at, say, $25,000 a year, Social Security looks at this individual, and it's like they're going to be paying that person. I mean, his life expectancy could easily be into the 80s. So that's a lot of money that Social Security is going to be paying out. In my opinion, that's one of the things that they really look at is, what's the sticker price for this approval versus if you're, if you're 61, you could take early retirement at 62. So it's, it's a different argument there, right? Jam, Philip, anything to add in those areas that we've covered so far?
No.
Philip, how old were you when you got approved?
54.
54. So your situation would be you had been in the cabinetry, carpentry business for way more than 15 years, right?
Oh, yeah. And no former education, so I had no.
Mm-hmm.
The only transferable skills I have is experience with being a carpenter, I guess, slinging a hammer.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So for the approval part, I'm going to pivot a bit and talk about your location, and how your location can influence the decision time and the approval process. And for those of you out there, I invite you to have a look at the screen here that I'm sharing with you now. And there's a few things. These are some of the recent statistics. And with the Social Security process now, if you put an application in, like just this morning, somebody from South Carolina, their application has been in the system for like 3 months, and they're like, I haven't received a decision yet. Well, it's not surprising because the average decision time is 233 days. So that's on this graph up here. It's 233, and they haven't updated it since April. So I think they're kind of lying low because they don't want to. But that 233 is not like everywhere. So if you look at our great state of Vermont, we are one of the ones in green, where we have a very quick decision time as well as Alaska. But some of these others, like Florida and Texas, have really long waits. So where you're at, if you're in a lighter color or a green color state, then you're going to have the opportunity to get a decision quicker decision, hopefully is quicker approval. So that's one situation. Can you move and apply? I guess you could, but you need a permanent residence that you can justify when you apply for disability. And so I've known one person that's actually done this. They actually applied in a state other than Texas, knowing that they were subject to the Texas wait. So that's one thing. The other thing is on the approval side, there are some differences on the state level of what the approval percentages are. But they're not radical differences. Where there's some annoying differences, in my opinion, is if you unfortunately have to go to a hearing in front of an administrative law judge. And this is where your location can have an impact. So let me just walk you through. You apply for your disability benefits and you get denied. You appeal that decision. That's called the reconsideration appeal, except for in 10 states, they don't have this. And so you're asking them to reconsider your first application, and most of those get denied. There's only 11.7% approval. So then you'd go on to a hearing. You request a hearing in front of an administrative law judge. And I don't know if you can see this because it's kind of small font, but I'm picking on Texas today, Philip. And
We
what
need picking on.
what this is a website called Disability Judges, and I'll put this in the chat. You can share it with everybody. So you can go in here and drill down, and you can look at the hearing office that you're going to be assigned to. And once you're assigned a judge, you can look up the judge's statistics and oftentimes get some feedback on them. And so the where the location comes into play is this. These are the Texas disability hearing offices, and they have way over here on the right, they have different aggregated approval and denial percentages. So if you look at downtown Dallas, it's 45. Dallas North is 45. Fort Worth is 38. So you'll see that, some of these go down to 39%, 30, yeah. But even more, if we can find it here, is some of the judges have significantly skewed percentages. Like there are some judges out there that have these cases approved are 45 and 46, but there are some out there that have as low as 19, 21%. So, and it's difficult to avoid a judge because if you're assigned a judge and you attempt to cancel your hearing, and they've figured this out that if you draw a bad judge, cancel a hearing, and hope for a better one next time. It's not easy to do. So that's unfortunate in my opinion because it's the same regulations that all the judges use. It's just how somebody is interpreting those that's having a radically different statistical outcome. That is annoying. So disability judges, you can check that out, right?
Why do you think, or what's your opinion on why Texas and Florida take so long?
Volume. It's the only thing I can think of. Volume and staffing are the two things that are causing the problem. So I don't know
Volume?
if
You mean
volume and
volume and
staffing. So they've, if Social Security across the board lost like 20% of their staff, and it takes them like 3 years to get somebody proficient. So maybe it was more in Florida and Texas. I don't know. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about bouncing around a little bit here. One of the questions is what happens to my Social Security disability check when I reach full retirement age, which 65 or it's different for other people. And the only thing that happens that's different is your status changes from being a disability recipient to just a full retirement age. FRA is what they call it. So that's from the financial amount. So your check amount, once you're on disability, we've had people that have said, well, can I go back and get my, now that I'm 63 and I'm on disability, can I go and collect my age 62 amount? So the age 62 amount is usually about 40% less than your disability amount, and your disability amount is comparable within like 1 or 2% of your full retirement amount. So I don't even know if you go off of disability, if I guess you could before full retirement age and then take that, but I don't know why you would unless it's working related. So just to recap this, when you reach full retirement age, you check them out. The amount of money is going to stay the same. It's just your status changes. And Jam, you had a question in this zone. Did you want to address it now?
Yeah, so a member yesterday asked me, he is 64 years old, and
Mm-hmm.
his question was, if he reaches full retirement age, he wants to transition from disability benefits and start receiving full retirement age benefits at the age of 60.
Right,
And this is because he intends to withdraw money from his 401k.
right. So that would be the answer that I just pointed out, that there isn't just a natural process where you go to full retirement age. So he would be able to do that. You actually could do it now. It doesn't have to wait until full retirement. Oh, maybe there's tax implications on his 401k, and I'm not a tax guy, so I would know that.
But yeah, he is already on disability, Brian, and he wants to
Mhm.
get off disability at the age of, let's say 67, if I recall correctly. And he wants to receive his full retirement age at the age of 70.
I don't know if there's anybody else out there that knows the answer to that. If you can do it, I do not believe that you can. If you take a disability check or you take your age 62 check, you do not have the ability to go and all of a sudden at age 70, your check would be higher. You don't have the ability to do that. So that would be, let's use Philip. So Philip has a check of X amount of dollars. And when you reach 70, you're like, hey, you know what? I want my age 70 amount. The, my, I have not known anybody that's been able to do that. So the answer, I am 96% certain that he's going to just stay on his same check amount, except for the cost of living increase, the 3.2% that's coming up. Okay, let's talk about location a bit more. And with location, when you're approved for disability, it does have an influence on the benefits that you have access to. And this is primarily through the benefits that are available through one Medicare, but there are local benefits that you are eligible for. Like here in Vermont, there's different incentives for people that are Social Security disability recipients, but that are just county and state benefits. So you should look into those. Like some states, there's free fishing license, there's tax breaks, there's utility breaks, all of that. So where you live definitely would influence that. The other piece that is influenced by your location is your Medicare benefits, Medicare Part C, Medicare Advantage plans. The Medicare Advantage plans that are available, for example, here in Vermont, are really basic. They don't have a lot of extra benefits like dental, hearing, vision, shopping credits. There is some places where there's a gym membership. The flex cards are, I have seen one, but they're not significant. So versus if you're in another densely populated competitive market like Florida or Jam, we were working with somebody yesterday and that was what, like $2,000 a year in flex benefits. It was a lot of money.
Right.
They were in Ohio, in the Toledo area. So you could, you could have an extra access to extra $2,000 in a flex card in Toledo, Ohio, that you could use for your rent, food, electricity. But if you're in, Burlington, Vermont, there's no flex card available. So your location would definitely influence that. Okay, so just to conclude here, a few things that we've covered is going through the approval process, the different age, under 50, over 50, and then where you live geographically is going to dictate like the processing time for the decision, and the judges that you would have access to. So those are some of the things. And then we talked about when you reach full retirement age, what happens then. Check stays the same. Oh, by the way, when you reach full retirement age, you're no longer subject to the earnings limitations that you are as a disability recipient, and nor are you subject to continuing disability reviews. So as a full retirement classification, that goes away. Okay. And then of course your zip code determines your what you have access to for local benefits and Medicare benefits, right? We're going to take some questions in a minute, but this is something new that I want to just give a shout out to everybody that's listening to this. If you have a success story or a tip or something that you think would benefit others here at the Disability Digest, or if you've had an experience in using our services, maybe an amazing interaction with Philip or Jam or something has happened, we've helped you get your benefits, keep them, maximize them, and you would like to send in your experience, either a tip or an experience, and we use it, like I review it on the air or I publish it, we would send you a thank you. Now, I'm not going to tell you what the thank you would be, but it has something to do with shopping that you could use. So if you'd like to participate, it's just as simple as taking out your phone like this. Hi, this is Brian. The Disability Digest helped me do X, Y, and Z. It's made a difference for me. Thank you very much. Click, and then you would send that to the email address that invited you to this event. Now, if you're not a member here at the Disability Digest, you would not have been invited via email. Encourage you at the end. We'll put a link out there that you can join us and participate. So simple, easy to do. Just record it, forward it to the email address. We'll review it. If we use it, you get some shopping money. All right, let's take some questions.
All right. I have a question from a member yesterday as well, Brian. So I spoke with a mom who has a son who applied for disability, but she doesn't think that his son filed the application correctly due to his condition and impaired cognitive abilities. And she asked me if it's possible for him to withdraw his application and reapply. And if so, how long does he have to wait, or can he have two applications at the same time?
Okay. So you can have one application at this level at the same time, and there's pros and cons to doing that. If let's say that the individual, they've been working on this application for, say, 3 months, right? And this person has been not working for 5 months. So it's a total of 8 months, right? Now, with the Social Security process, the first 5 months that you're out of work, that you can prove that you're out of work because of your condition, there's an elimination period and no benefits build up. But after that, your benefits start to build up. So this person would have 3 months of back benefits. And let's say the check is $1,500, right? So that would be $4,500 in my math. So if they started a new application, the date that they started that application would have to be after the first one was stopped or they didn't take any action on it and it got denied. And what that would mean is they wouldn't have an opportunity to get that $4,500 that's already on the books. So you have to take that into consideration versus if people, believe it or not, you might find this hard to believe. People mess up their applications commonly. They don't know what to do. They take a guess. So it is something that you can correct with evidence and following the steps that we provide to go in and rectify that. And it is totally possible that the case could be corrected with the right evidence to prove that this person has been qualified, right? So I lean more towards correcting it. If this person is young, they're likely going to go to a hearing anyway, and there's lots of time to get evidence in the file.
Mhm. All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Brian. Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And this question is from Mike B.
Okay.
Age 65 from North Carolina. SSDI says 200 and plus days before decision. Is it time to reach to my U.S. Senate and Congressman or expect decision after FRA?
When did he apply again?
August of 2023.
No, because so August, so really September, October, and this is November, so this is 3 months.
Mhm.
I mean, that's really that's kind of a card that you want to use at the right time, and it hasn't been the even close to the 200 and something days yet. So what you could be faced with is forcing them or asking them to make a decision on an incomplete case file. One, two is it's like unless even if you've got a critical situation, it's a total wait your turn type thing. So that's my opinion on that. I wouldn't do it now. It's too early.
Okay, thank you. All right. So from live chat, here's a question from Joshua. I think I have TOS, and I believe medically that stands for thoracic outlet syndrome. I
Okay.
haven't been diagnosed with it, so my question is, if I do get diagnosed with TOS, can I apply for permanent disability while I'm on FMLA?
So I'm going to go back. It's difficult to say. I'm going to go back to the three like pillars of the disability approval process. You have conditions that have been diagnosed, which this TOS is not yet. So once it's diagnosed, that's one thing. Then it needs to be treated. So has it been treated? Will it be treated? And then once those two are done, like what are the limitations? How is it preventing you from working? It seems to me like right now, based on the information that you've provided, it's early. And if you submit that right now to Social Security, it's just there isn't enough evidence for them to say that you would qualify. It's just my opinion based on the information provided.
All right. And from Chris, I have a combination of mental and physical issues. What type of doctor will they send me to?
Could send you to both. It would be, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Folks, a lot
All
of people
right.
get freaked out or intimidated by these independent medical exams. And if you're prepared for it and understand how to use it to your advantage that we teach you to do, they actually can be helpful for you. So it's just a thought.
All right. Okay. And here's one from Nick. Hello, I have multiple questions, but for now, I'll try to keep it simple. I'm currently receiving my SSDI benefits, but have some concerns. Is there a number to, is it a number of an attorney or anyone else I can call?
Depends what your concerns are. Why don't you see if you can put one out here? And you're pretty anonymous. All we know is your first name, right? So, um, and that's why we're here. Be glad to help you. And if
Mhm.
you're a member at the Disability Digest, like you've been received an invite to this event from the address, you can reply to that with a question.
All right.
I've got
Do you
one.
have questions, Phil? Okay.
Got an anonymous member here also. Says, I applied for disability a year into my health issues and was denied. When I applied, I didn't have all my medical records from that year yet, and so they weren't submitted. I applied last year in July and got a lawyer. My lawyer keeps telling me to only send her stuff, medical records from July until now, and not the medical records I missed, including when I first applied. Does this seem right?
I mean, it's difficult for me to comment on how somebody else practices to get cases approved. I'm just really just speculating that they are looking for current relevant evidence, which is really of value because you didn't get approved the first round. So I'm not answering your question. I really don't know if there is one based on, what you've shared with me, other than if you've got somebody good on your team, which hopefully you do, then you have to just place some trust in them. That's one of the things I see is, we I've seen this. People ask you to do work for them, whether it's helping them get approved or they're already approved on the healthcare side. Um, and then they want to have all of this input and influence the process. And I struggle with that. I mean, if you're going to hire somebody to do it, find somebody that you trust and let them do it and make sure that they're doing the steps that need to be done. And that's what we teach you at the Disability Digest, but don't try to do the steps for them. That's just my take.
Can
All
a
right.
therapist fill out a functional capacity form? Does she need to fill out release of information forms for every single place I've been at before to bring, wait, that don't make sense. I've
No.
been before to bring it up on the form from talking about treatment history. I don't understand that.
So I think I can take a stab at this. The purpose of a residual functional capacity report or doctor's support form is for the doctor to confirm that you're being treated just simply by dates. And then what their opinion is on your limitations. So if they're physical, your ability to sit, stand, bend, stoop, lift, walk, those types of things. And then also their opinion on how many days in a month you would not be able to work. So if it's a residual functional capacity forms that we understand that Social Security recognizes and that we use here and that are in our course, then no, it's just like 7 to 9 minutes for them to fill it out and you're done. All right.
Uh,
Do you have
Go
another
ahead.
one, Phil?
No, go ahead.
Okay. From Rick Brian, I just turned 65 in September of this year and receive SSDI. Can these benefits be taken from me if my health improves?
Well, now you're full retirement age, so you're out of the Social Security disability, um, governing rules. You are not subject to a CDR. Your status will change in your check. So the answer is no.
Okay. From Kay, is there any other help in Iowa for SSI, SSDI, retirement, etc.?
I don't know exactly what kind of help that you're looking for, but we have collected like 7 top resources that work in every market that we know of and put them in one place. You're raising your hand, Jim?
Yes, sir. So follow up on that. She stated she's disabled and at 66 and they automatically put her as retired.
Okay. So that that should happen. Is there a problem with it?
So her health just keeps going down, and she's had 3 major heart attacks with 4 stents put in and on a
Mm-hmm.
lot of medications.
Okay. So when you cross the full retirement age, you no longer have access to Social Security disability. Perhaps that's a way to answer it. You can apply up to age 65. Well, you could apply after age 65, but you have to prove that you are not able to work like, you know, prior to 65.
All right. Here's one from AAP Services. I am 44, born with severe fetal alcohol syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
I have all FAS secondary disability limitations diagnosed, both mental and physical, awaiting hearing results. It's been 4+ years. Can I get past stimulus?
What's been 4+ years? Waiting for a decision?
Yep.
All right. And what's past stimulus? I wonder if it's past back benefits.
I think so.
Because I don't know, like a stimulus what comes to mind for a stimulus is like a stimulus check.
Mhm.
I don't know any of that going around anymore. But if you're referring to back benefits, you are entitled to back benefits once you get approved, going back to the onset date of your disability. So you would or should, or hopefully you do, get over 4 years, let's say it's $20,000 a year benefits, you could be getting $60,000, at the time of your approval. Hopefully you do. And that's just a general estimate. It's based on your check amount and your onset date. So I'm not saying this is what you're going to get, just an example. Great questions from everybody out there. I see 438 on 438 on YouTube. Thanks for joining. Great to have you here today.
All right, from Rick. Brian, I just turned 65. Oh, sorry, that's the same question. All right, everyone, I kindly request that you refrain from sending the same questions multiple times. We're doing our best to accommodate everyone's questions. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. They're testing you, Jim. They're seeing if you're on your game today.
All right, here's one from Christiana Clay. Hello, I received a letter saying that I have been approved for medical coverage through the MO HealthNet for the aged, blind, and disabled. I am 35. Do you think I will be approved for my disability?
Based on the limited information, I just don't know. There's a lot of variables. But here at the Disability Digest, we invite you, if you're not a member, join us. And there's no charge for your membership. You get access to a disability approval course. You get resources and people to talk to that will help you understand if you do possibly qualify. But in order to do that, I mean, we need to review like your whole like medical history, ideally head to toe, like what's going on and how long it's been going on and medications you take. So it's there's more to it to give it some accuracy. Um,
Yeah,
you know,
if I remember correctly, she is a member.
okay. Well, that's good
Mhm.
memory. Before the next one, I just want to give a shout out to a good idea that was brought up. And this is from Michelle. She writes, so happy to popped onto your site, waiting to get disability. And for my juice, I figured out that, after I spent 35 years working as an RN, that I just couldn't do anything anymore. So I've found peace in volunteering at the Humane Society. And I highly recommend this for people, especially for those who like pets, but think it's too much to have a pet. So, and you can foster from the Humane Society. So I thought that was a great idea. Thanks for sharing that.
All right. So a lot of our viewers, based on our live chat, Brian, are on reconsideration or either hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. All right. Hopefully the end is near for you folks. Reconsideration, not so much. The approval percentage is 11.7%. So
Yeah, especially Katie who's watching. Good luck on your telephone hearing.
yes, Katie.
Good luck, Katie.
All right. I received a call from Social Security 2 months ago. My caseworker calling from Baltimore because Florida has backlogs. She is working on my medical. I'm at 90% um on Social Security and 90% on SSDI, age 57
Mm-hmm.
statement.
Statement. Yeah.
All
Well,
right,
at
here's
least they're trying to loosen up the backlog in Florida.
all right, here's one from Perry. Do you think having Bachelor of Science degree hurts my chances of getting approved? I was in management in the same industry for almost 40 years.
So yeah, that's a really good question because there's like if you're in the same profession for 40 years, if you have a bachelor's or a master's, um, certainly the higher educated you are, the more Social Security thinks, okay, well, you can learn and gather and collect skills. So there is that component to it. But as I mentioned earlier, you've had a long, I expect, successful career in management. So then it really could eliminate the educational piece if you're not able to do your type of work because you wouldn't be able to learn another skill, right? As part of that ruling and criteria. These are called the grid rules, um, folks, for Social Security.
Mhm. All right, follow up from AAP services question earlier, Brian. He was
Mm-hmm.
asking about 4 years back pay, about the
Yep.
stimulus. Hmm.
I don't know about getting a stimulus back pay. I know about getting Social Security disability benefits back pay, but stimulus I'm not familiar with. Yeah.
All right. From Karma, is it okay to ask for copies periodically to review so you can be sure that you have good documents for your case?
Uh,
Um, mhm.
Do you think this is copies of medical records, Jim?
Yeah, I think.
I think this is definitely something you should be doing. There's there was an you can search. Well, actually, his name's not on it. It was recently a veteran that we helped get approved, and he shared his story here, and it's on our YouTube channel. And he talks about the consistent inconsistency of documenting his particular condition. He's in California where there's Kaiser Medical, which is not the first time I've heard of this. So you should definitely do it. I've known people that have had in their charts medications that they weren't prescribed. They've had conditions that were not marked properly, like a condition, if it's marked, would be either mild, moderate, or severe. So they haven't been marked. So this is really important to understand um, what is in your documentation and clean it up with your treatment team, doctoring team.
All right. Follow up from Katie. May I just cash out my 401k? They took 20% out for taxes and possibly 10% when I file, but I had zero income this year, so I may get that back.
Boy, that's a tax question. It's just not in my wheelhouse. Sorry. Yeah.
All right. From Allie, I'm 51, applying for SSDI with lots of medical documentation, worked in same industry over 20 years as a
Mm-hmm.
health professional. Will
Mm-hmm.
Social Security try to have me do either jobs? How often are reviews after approval?
What was the either jobs part?
I'm
Will
not
help me do what jobs?
Other jobs, sorry, other jobs. That was a typo.
In your situation, if your case is done right, then it's proving that you cannot do your work because you're over 50. You've had more than 15 years in a career. So that is the premise. Now, you might on your initial application, not saying they're going to get it right, you could receive a very traditional denial. It says, we understand that you have conditions, and they provide some limitations for you, but we do believe that you can work. That typically does happen for denials. I'm not saying that it won't happen, but what needs to be proved, and you need to bang them over the head and help them understand, is that you can't do your work. So the continuing disability review piece, yes, if you're in your 50s, you are like a prime target and younger. And the closer you get to full retirement age, like 62, 34, they're definitely not going to pursue you as much then. They're looking for a return on their investment, to find people that, they can take off of benefits. Yeah.
All right. But it isn't that sad. I mean, people pay for them to be eligible.
Yeah. I mean, there's unfortunately some sad states here. Actually, I don't know if anybody watched the Anderson Cooper 60 Minutes piece on overpayments on Sunday, about Social Security is sending out about 1 million overpayment notifications a year. Now, this is not just for disability recipients. This is a blend of disability recipients and those that are on regular retirement Social Security. So there's like 68 million, but about 1 million of these a year. And they're really difficult because they're often not accurate and they're difficult to fight, and it's challenging for people to get legal representation. So Anderson Cooper did a really good job. Later this week or earlier next week, there will be a media piece that will go through some of the points that Anderson pointed out. And then also we've had our industry expert, James Mitchell Brown, that has been here and spoken on overpayments. So they're going to blend those two together and help you folks, hopefully. I mean, I don't know about anybody else out there, but I definitely don't like to lose money. And if you're losing your entire income stream because of some bogus, acquisition from Social Security, it's just got to be beyond annoying. That's my
Right.
rant.
Here's a concern from, sorry, Bill, were you gonna say something?
Here from Mary. I just got a call to schedule 2 appointments for exams. They said one was general, X-ray, and psychiatric eval.
Mhm.
Has anyone else had these? What can I expect? I'm so scared because I hate driving in downtown of the city.
Mm, mm. Yeah, so 72% of the applicants are sent for an independent medical exam. Yours is different because they're actually sending you for imaging or scans. And My first suggestion is to just take a deep breath and understand that this is part of the process and it could be a really good thing for you. Here at the Disability Digest, if you are a member and have spoken with one of our advocates and are have been assigned the disability approval course, then in section 3 of that, you will find like the 7 things to do to go to that exam. If you are not a member here, then you're in the Facebook group, then Philip will put a link or somehow you can find us. There's no charge for the membership, no charge for the course, and it gives you all the answers. So I definitely do that and make sure you follow those steps and maximize it. Use it to your advantage.
All right. Here's one from Kathy, more of like a concern. It's been 2 years in Florida and they say they sent me paperwork and I have not received anything.
Well, 2 years is beyond 233 days. I'd start doing some digging for sure. So you're at 700 and whatever days. So one is, I mean, I'd call you out if you haven't. You should have been on this a long time ago. And anybody else out there, I mean, understand the expectations and what's realistic, and then act accordingly if you're going to take this, want to get your benefits. Because I mean, your case could have been denied. You could have missed. You have no idea what's going on. So call into your local office, find out what's going on. If you have a caseworker that you can contact, great. If you have a disability representative, they could or should do this for you to get your case status. The other thought on this is to log into your My SSA account. I don't know where you're getting your info for 2 years, but your case is tracked in there, and they actually track it pretty accurately. Jam, I just want to go back to or maybe it was Philip, the question about the independent medical exams. I do want to give you one of the tips out of the ones that we have in the list, which is to don't go in there alone. Bring an advocate with you. And in that section of the course, it'll really drill down on what the advocate's responsibility is and what they do. But the short answer is that they're going to basically take notes and make sure that you don't miss anything. And also it will hold the examiner or examiners accountable for doing their work. So if you go in there alone and then the examiner says, well, I did a thorough exam, I did all of this for 25 minutes, and they actually didn't, then, and this happens, I mean, then it's tough. There's, it's your word against theirs. So that's one of the tips. We
Well,
have about 4 or 5 more minutes here, so we'll take one, maybe 2 more questions.
all right. From Rick, I was approved in 2021, backdated to 18, and I was 49 and a 30-year electrician at the time. I was approved with a 1-year review, and to date, none was done yet. I am 54 and do regular treatments, operations, etc. What is going reviews, and does my age, 49 backdated affect me?
No, I think you definitely should be in the review zone with your age. It's there is the consistency of people getting them, consistent with their award letter. I don't have a real good feel for that being like at 3 years, here it is. I don't get that. So from Attorney James Mitchell Brown, the one thing that I've understood about these reviews is that local offices are mandated to put out a certain volume of them. So they are doing them, and we know that the 20% of the recipients about that are getting reviewed a year. So just keep doing what you're doing. Follow on our YouTube channel for reviews. If you type in the keyword CDR, then you'll come up with some segments of a comprehensive course that we have. There's 10 segments of the CDR course, like how to prepare and survive the course. If you're a member at the Disability Digest, you can get the entire course by just requesting it, either speaking to one of our advocates or just emailing a request in for the course, and we'll start it for you. And you get the full 10 segments, and hopefully you won't need it. But
All
all
right,
right,
Brian, can we cover two more if that's okay?
let's give it a whirl. We'll see if we can sneak them in. I'll talk fast.
Okay. What if you had your hearing and hear something in 1 month? Is that good or bad?
Well, if it's an approval, I'd say it's good. Like, what did they hear? Do we
Mhm.
know?
No. From Becky, I was diagnosed with acute hemolytic anemia in 1989, and I have been able to work on and off since then. I have other autoimmune issues. Do you need to, do I need to find my records from 1989 and submit them to Social Security?
In my opinion, and how we work and get approved and cases approved is no. Social Security is going to be most interested in the last 24 months of medical records. And when you go through and apply for Social Security, you submit online, like you learn how to do this through our course, your doctors, your medications, your work history, and all of that. What we have found is the best practice is to let Social Security collect the medical records and make sure that they get all of the medical records from all the doctors that you listed for the time that you've been treated. And if they don't, then help them secure some of them. There are other people that do this work that say, okay, take your medical records and also bring them into Social Security. But that gives them the opportunity to mix and mingle and get them screwed up, and they get so many, records in the case file. So that, again, to keep it clean, just allow them to request them. If you're managing your own case, get in touch with a caseworker and just say, I want to confirm that you have medical records from these doctors. And if they don't have them all, then you can offer to assist. That would be my preference. All right, one more. Or
All
not.
right.
Okay.
I am at the final review, checking to see if I still meet non-medical requirements. Is it possible? Is it a possible approval?
Yeah. If you have met the medical, that's the most difficult part. The non-medical, they're looking mostly at if you've worked enough to earn a disability check. So I would consider that good news. And I see a lot of these more than usual, like you passed the medical. Now we're going to check on the non-medical, which I don't understand why they wouldn't do that first, because if you don't pass the non-medical, you can figure that out pretty quickly. So anyway, folks, listen, we're going to wrap up for today. This has been a great group, and I'm personally delighted that we didn't have any technology issues this week. And so thank you to the 532 of you out there on YouTube and those of you that are on Facebook and other places around the world. I am just grateful that you have chosen to spend some time with us. I hope you find some value in this. I'd like to thank my teammates here, Mr. Philip Price. Thank you, buddy. Good to have you. Jam, as always, wonderful job.
Thank you, Brian.
And a shout out to Sleeping Cassie over there. Yeah, so listen, stay tuned for next week. I may have a conflict with the scheduling, so we may have to adjust and next week, but there'll be an email, it'll be published on YouTube. Just stay in touch. But most Wednesdays, we are here to educate and help you understand how you can get, keep, and maximize your disability benefits. So listen, if you know of